Uber and Lyft. Joe currently uses multiple phones to efficiently drive for Uber and Lyft. But this can be a pain at times and very unsafe. That was until Joe found Maximo, the rideshare app that automates Uber and Lyft ride requests. Maximo will use the filters set by Joe, like time, distance, and passenger rating, to determine which rides are best suited for Joe. When a ride request comes in, Joe doesn't need to worry. Maximo will automatically accept the ride request that matches his filters, and then turn off the app that isn't currently on a ride. Once Joe finishes the ride, Maximo will turn everything back on. This will allow Joe to focus more on his passengers and driving safe.
Hey everybody, happy Thursday. I want to welcome Robert Reese, Hot Facts with Robert Reese.
Hello.
We have Gary Middleton, Middleton Technologies, Animal is Hungry,
Howdy, howdy.
and Kim's Side Money Plans.
Hey everyone.
So we always bring in a guest. We got Kim for the next 2 weeks, right?
Yes.
Yay!
Got Kim for 2 weeks. Try see if what a female voice does. Yeah, we needed a female voice in here, so we will see what happens. So tonight we're going to talk with Robert, who is out in California. So some of this is obviously, I actually have an update on my week. I know Hannibal's had some stuff he's put out on some changes that are going on with him. So I feel like there's going to be some random content in here, but I'm excited about the California portion too. But before we dive into the California stuff and Prop 22, I must give my propers and my shout outs to Kim Cavan, Karen Anderson, Lisa Rothstein, and Gail Gordon, who are the fighters of AB5. And there never should have even been a Prop 22. AB5 destroyed lives. It destroyed people who had businesses for 50 years. And they are the people who are doing this fight. Gail Gordon, if you don't know and you haven't seen the pieces that I've done with Gail, she owns a nonprofit opera house in LA, which has also been demolished and shut down for good due to AB5. So Prop 22 was brought around as a save for the gig economy, but many people weren't as lucky and lost their livelihoods to this junk law, which made there be a proposition. So with this comes some hinges. And I wanted to give the propers to them because those ladies have taught me a lot about what I already am, an independent contractor, what I know Hannibal talks about all the time. And especially even just recently, it was just bringing up again, being an independent contractor. And Hannibal had a video where he was talking about independent contractors that kind of hit to home with me a little bit in a different way too, because I think that there is more to being an independent contractor than just saying that you're working these apps and you're an independent contractor. Are you really wanting to be one? And are you doing anything that puts you in a position where you really are trying to be an independent contractor? Or is that just the title you've been given that goes with these apps? And that's some of what I want to delve into a little bit here tonight, along with what Prop 22 does for the California workers. Because yeah, the AB5, it just sucks, and it's ruined freelancers, writers, interpreters, musicians of certain genres. There were just so many non-carved out items that livelihoods were destroyed. Prop 22 did save the gig economy. It cost a ton of money, but then there are some upsides to the people in California who get the perks of the Prop 22, but that in itself becomes a question. So I guess tonight I want to start with Robert. You have a different approach to taking orders and how you work these platforms. And I maybe I should preface this a little bit more here with Robert does a thing that many of you might not be familiar with. It's called awesome customer service. And I'm only familiar with that because I've worked in the bars forever, guys. And I know a lot of the gig workers in here tonight that I'm already seeing in the chat. We'll shout out some hellos here in a little bit, but I'm already seeing people in here who do understand the gig, who do understand this is a service industry job. But Robert is constantly out there proving that tips will the no trip tips or the no tip trips can be worth taking. Earn the tip. Am I wording that wrong, or am I phrasing that in a way that you can play off that?
I can play off anything. It's basketball, man. I got a right hand and a left hand. But you were actually absolutely right on. What I do is I specifically break down the market and what apps are in and who's working on the apps. And in most of the apps, DoorDash is just over flooded, right? So if they're over flooded, that means that there's drivers neglecting the other app. Okay, the other app that will allow me to make more money based upon my service, I'm just going to get all of those orders and knock them out. Now, the small orders that people pass up, it's just like, they're like, there's no chance that something's going to be possible there. But I put it in the same preference as if I'm a canvasser in a neighborhood, I'm not going to skip a house. I'm going to hit every single house. And even if I miss a house, the houses that I did attack and go to, the ones I won on are more than what someone passed up. So I'm winning either way. It's a win. And my service, what it does is it just goes in and let that customer know if they ever see me again, they're going to make sure they bless me that time. And I'm going to keep doing that until I sew up my whole neighborhood. It's my market. So I'm going to make sure I benefit off of how my market is.
So do you find that the fallback of Prop 22 is helpful though to you? Like knowing that, hey, if this does go bad this hour.
It's helpful for a driver that understands the program like me. Like I'm one of the originals, 2015. I go way back then. So I understand exactly what it's put in for. Okay. For a driver, if you're this new era, and I say a new era because I've gone through so many pay changes. I'm like a great grandfather in this thing. You know what I mean? So I'm taking it back to where if someone is constantly skipping their orders, they're not going to get paid active time. Okay. And you never know how long a wait time is going to be inside a restaurant if you don't go. And the only way to know is if you know your market. Yes, the restaurants that are too long, you don't go to those. But the ones where you know it's going to be A-okay, and if the order is not large, but it's not small, and I know I can get in there and knock it out, I'm going to take that because now the time I'm doing that, that's like a backup reserve I have. So I'm making what I make as far as my whatever I do regular as a driver, but taking some of these orders and how I know what I do with my service is just ensuring that I have extra money every hour coming in. And let's say I want to take a day off because we all know you can get burnt out from this. You get mentally just jacked up from this thing. And because of that, if you're putting in the active hours, you can afford to have a day off, a half day off. You can do those things to regroup. Now, there's some drivers that don't understand that, and they're 24/7. I'm multi-apping, I'm driving, I'm doing this and that, and they have too many apps going on to where they're not even making that much on their Prop 22.
So maybe we should back it up a little bit because I understand it. I think everybody on the panel has a good understanding of Prop 22, but maybe for everybody, maybe let's back it up and talk about what Prop 22 is to you in California, you, the gig worker.
All right. Okay. So here's what it does for once you hit accept, okay, on an order, you're starting to get paid actively for that order. Once that order is completed and you drop that order off, your active time stops. Now you get paid whatever the minimum wage is in whatever city that you are working in. Okay. Now, how they have it is if you're working and they see the orders that you did pick up, it evens out to what the proposition guarantee is. You're going to be A-okay. But somehow the math works out so that you never make what you're supposed to make. So essentially, every hour that you are going out to work, you're getting pretty much $12 to $16 every single hour that you are active. So if you go out and you make $100, and your 5 hours of active hours, okay, now you're just adding in that 16 now times 5, and you have that comes in on Uber Eats every 2 weeks. On DoorDash, it's every week. I'm not sure about Grubhub, Instacart, or all the other ones, but on DoorDash, you get it every week, and on Uber Eats, it's every 2 weeks. Now, on top of that, depending on how many active hours you do complete in a certain amount of time, in a quarter of the year, if you complete 372 hours of active time, you get $1,275 of a healthcare stipend. Okay, and they throw that directly in to your account. If you do 197 hours, you get $634 for a healthcare stipend. So you only qualify for that healthcare stipend, though, if you are not on insurance that your W-2 has you on. It has to be an insurance that you are paying for fully separate of that. But let's say if you have a wife, if you're with someone, you might be boyfriend or girlfriend, they may have you on like their vision, but they don't have you on medical. You can actually apply for medical and still get qualified for your healthcare stipend also. And that goes in and that helps you out. You're paying your insurance every month. So when that money does come in, you're able to get things done for your vehicle, your car, and that's the same when you get your every 2 week payment, your brakes, all those oil changes. That stuff is good. Now, the disadvantages of the Prop 22 is we fought hard to get this in, so it's perfect right now. You can still be an independent contractor, 1099, and do what you have to do. But now what we have people that signed, that voted it in. Now they want unions here. So they kind of want people to be employees, which you won't be able to make anything. So now we have a fight within our state now with people who want Prop 22 how it is, like me, and people who don't want to like work and they just want something there. So now we got that going on. So
and you have the contention of the Prop 22 being in violation of the California Constitution. That is still going on.
Yes, and that's going on. And the only way Prop 22 can go out, it was voted in, it has to get voted out. That is the only way. That's why we live in a great place. You know what I mean? It took many times to get that voted in, but once it finally got in, it was like 2 million, 3 million plus. And now those people that were plus, they would have to decide to go against and take it away.
Unless the judge rules that it goes against the California Constitution. That will not require a vote. It will just nullify the proposition altogether. However, that is a very strange thing to me because when AB 5 happened and destroyed everybody's livelihoods in California that was an independent contractor, and Prop 22 had to be made into existence, all of a sudden, the state of California and then the four main components of Prop 22 were Uber, Lyft, DoorDash, and Instacart. I mean, those are four big companies. We got to assume there's at least 1,000 lawyers involved at this point, at least. How did none of them see that this was a violation of the California Constitution? I mean, these are things that I've tossed this question around with some of the most high up people I can find, and they don't have good answers ever. They always are beating around the bush and, it was overlooked. How was it overlooked? You got 1,000 overpaid attorneys. How was it overlooked? It's impossible. That is impossible. But if it works, it works. I was Gary and I were talking about a couple scenarios even where, what if somebody takes an order though, and then because obviously it's just based on what the platform pays you, nothing to do with a tip, as it should be, right? It's how the platform pays you per hour, and they need to be paying you on the active hours correctly from the platform, not the tip.
Right.
So
hold on, slow that down. So if you take a $40 order and DoorDash pays you $250, they still have to give you Prop 22 on top of that?
Yes.
Even though
no matter what, Gary, once you hit accept, you're on. You're on. So they cannot not give it to you.
No, that's what I'm saying though. But you're saying that it's not based off what you actually make; it's only based off of base pay.
Well,
right?
No, I'm just
no,
saying
you
take
still
the
get
tip
paid.
out though. The companies can't use the tip as part of
Yeah.
he made $22, so he's fine. They have to take the tip out of the equation. How much
Well-
did they pay you? So yes, if it's just
Right,
the
right.
base,
So that's what I'm saying. It would only be based off base pay, which will never equal minimum wage.
so
I mean,
everybody's getting Prop
yeah,
22.
everyone
Exactly.
would have to get it.
Exactly, Gary. Now you understand
Yeah.
why I love it so much. No matter what I do when I'm out there, I am never gonna hit what they say, and I get so many tips from people. I am never gonna hit what they say, and because of that, I am loving it because I take full advantage of it. I
Well,
take
what's
full
the
advantage.
minimum wage where you're at?
Where I am, it's $16.
So he has to take 8 $2 orders an hour, or eight orders an hour at $2 base pay in order to make that 16.
Right, but he has
Well-
to do just one because he could walk that order and take
Well,
as long as
I know, but I'm saying in order to actually hit it though, ever hit it, you would have to take 8 orders.
anywhere outside of California. Yeah.
Right. Well, no, I'm saying in order to not get the payment from him is what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's
Yeah.
set up so that you never you will always get Prop 22.
Right.
It's set up that way. And there are some people who literally here, let's say they're working at McDonald's, right? And they really don't understand that they have their stickers, the Uber Eats and DoorDash, they have the emblems on their vehicles, but they don't realize that they can make way more than their managers are making if they just go ahead and just drive. But they don't understand what Prop 22 is. So, hey, if they don't understand, let them not understand. I'll go ahead and do it.
Now, does this apply to multi-apping?
Yes. Okay.
Like
So
what stops drivers from double or triple dipping?
Right, like let's
here's the
use
thing,
Kim
you
for
are like,
instance. Kim
like
always
he's smiling
multi-apps.
too. He's smiling
Huge
like he wants to
advocate.
know this. Okay, look, you can double dip all you want. Like you can, and here, okay, let me show you how I used to double dip before Uber bought out Postmates, right? I would do in the morning times. Postmates was busier in the early morning times, so I would work Postmates for the early morning, and then I would do like the whole full evening would be Uber Eats. So I would get like 3.5, 4 hours in the morning on Postmates, and then stop, and I will let all my mornings add up for the week. So I have like 20 hours on Postmates throughout the week, and then I have the rest on Uber Eats. So I was getting paid double with Prop 22 from both apps, because I understood how to use it.
Well, no. What I'm saying is, like me, I'll take an Uber, a DoorDash, and a Grubhub all at the same time. Like as long as they're all three going in the same direction, I'll accept and go pick up, deliver all three at the same time.
Yes, and
So-
all three, you're gonna get your Prop 22 separate from each company because you hit accept on all three. You're
Right.
absolutely right.
So that's what I'm saying. So while I'm on that order for that whole hour, all three companies have to pay me, even though I'm doing another gig apps order.
Yeah, they have no idea. They have no idea that you're on another app. That's what multi-apping is. You can actually go and choose which one to drop off first and go do your thing. So as long as they don't know what's good, they don't know about. That's the whole thing. They don't know about this. So you can multi-app, and yes, you're gonna get paid in full for all of them because that they don't know how to stop the multi-app to say he's on an order here, so he cannot do it there. There's no way to stop that.
Okay, so now that we established that, this is what I was rolling into. Do you think that is why they want unions, so that way they can control that payout?
In a way, yes. I do believe that there's some connection with some. I don't know who the mega driver is, but there's some mega driver out there with a connection with someone who wants to do something, and that's how it starts. I do believe that's like why they're doing it. That's the only way to regulate it. But if people were smart, they would just not want to do that, because once they do that, that's the end. That is the end. There's no more gig working thing in California. We will all be employees, and that's what we don't want. It'll turn into the end of, and if it rolls like that in California, any of the other states with large markets like that, it's going to roll like that too.
See, but that's part of my concern too. Is and my worry is the unions. Is that this? I mean, I've had conversations with both sides. I think everybody here knows. I've even worked my way all the way up to Vina Dubal, who wrote and drafted AB5. I've had her on the podcast, and she's very pro-union. I mean, she is 100% pro-union. She is the law professor at UC Hastings, and she's a drafter of AB5, and she is 100%. She doesn't believe anybody should not be in a union. You cannot have a two-way discussion with her about it. And I'm the other way. I am always, almost 99% of the time, I'm against the unions.
Yeah, I can't have someone stop my hustle. My hustle was too big to be controlled. I got to be able to do my thing.
You're anti Steve, you're anti-union even at W2 or just based on gig work in general?
You know, I'm starting to think I'm anti-union, period.
Yeah.
I mean, here's what I'll say. The teachers union, that's unnecessary. Okay. There are times, obviously.
Yeah.
Okay. But I think they're very few. I don't think that.
I think I'm the same way, Steve. I think there's certain things, police, fire department, teachers, things like that need the actual protections that a union provides. I 100% agree with, post office. Any job, no. I don't believe every single job needs a union.
There can't be a we just like to collect rocks union.
Good.
I just feel like it's their way. I just feel like it's their way of controlling the kind of the situation from happening. I mean, the more control they have, the less people make. But here we have people actually making a living and making money, and that's where like people are stepping in. Is like, wait, stop. We can't have these people make the money that they're making. And we're like, no, like this is our livelihood and what we do on a daily basis. So I think that's the, where, the disconnect is coming from.
Well, I think a lot of it though is drivers, they hurt themselves as much as they want to help themselves, because you always have that certain percentage drivers that do something that get attention. And then once they get it, they're like, wait, this isn't what we wanted. And so I think that's where a lot of the confusion comes in as well.
It looks like all the comments are clearly agreeing about the unions.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say I'm anti-union. I think certain jobs.
But Hannibal, any outside
what's the
of any outside of the ones that we just named, any grab you right off the top of your head?
Yeah, but let's break down like what the union is supposed to do. Ideally, like the ideal situation for a union is supposed to provide some level of protection, right? You can talk to your union rep if, let's say, for instance, a supervisor says something in a negative tone or disrespects you or not, paying you the way you're supposed to. Your hours are messed up. You would go to the supervisor giving you a hard time. Then you're like, you know what? I'm gonna talk to my union rep. So like ideally, it makes sense, right? Because it's a group of employees together to have some level of balance between the employer, the company, and the employee. So that ideal makes sense. But the problem is, just as anything becomes corrupt, like I don't know if I told you, I think I told a story before with, my wife's previous job, the union rep was caught taking money, kickbacks, getting six figures, just stealing, basically got arrested. So like those are the problems I think with the unions in general. Just like anything, it just becomes corrupted. So I understand the anti-union because also for a company it ruins efficiency, right? Like a lot of certain things that the unions fight for, then becomes a problem where the company is not as efficient as it used to be. So I can see both sides of it. I don't want to be a union because I'm not interested in being a W-2 employee, but I still see the value in it. But it has become eroded and corroded. Like even the teachers union, which I am not a big fan of the teachers union. I won't go political over here, but
no,
you know what I mean? Like I could see both sides of it is what I'm trying to say. This long round.
But without a union, they would be screwed.
Yeah, I think I just don't like the leader of the teachers union, but for many different reasons.
No, yeah. I mean, I feel like that's kind of part of the problem too, is that like, I mean, who walks into a union role? Like, hey, you want to lead this union for us? Like, I mean, obviously you're just looking for scumbag. You're like scraping the bottom of the barrel of.
Yeah, organized crime is so connected with unions, right? Like that, it just comes hand in hand for many reasons.
Plus, you're taking a blue collar worker and you're making them pay dues. I mean, what is coming from these dues? Because, like we said, there are the times, the places, the fire department, the things like that do need these protections. But I mean, for the most part, I mean, like, what are these dues for? Are you really getting anything out of it? And if they say strike tomorrow, are you ready to strike tomorrow? Because you don't have a choice now. Because if the union strikes, you strike.
That's the thing there, Steve. When it comes down time to cross that line, okay, when it comes that's when you'll see who's really with and who's against. And it's a sad thing because it normally comes down to that negotiation thing that doesn't work, and then you're with them, so you better go. You better go now.
Mm-hmm.
Have no choice. You gotta go.
I mean, we can all look at charts and see union memberships, like their likability, everything. If you look from the 1970s, from like Jimmy Hoffa goes missing to now,
where is he? Like, we don't found him, right?
I think they found him like a few times. I don't know.
He's in a building corner, right?
But you literally just see it go
building.
downhill. Likability, union memberships, dues. Nothing has gone uphill for the unions. Everything. You don't
think there's going to be an uptick in unions? I know the Amazon thing started, or they finally got one of the warehouses actually in Staten Island, I think, in New York City. They finally approved for. So I'm wondering, do you think it'll be an uptick, or you think it'll just continue to go down? Union, I guess.
I think this is why the unions. I mean, this is what happened. Was the unions decided, let's take a piece of the gig economy in California and decided, let's go make this thing called AB5. The problem is they said, hey, let's make the net a lot bigger. Let's throw it over everybody, even those that have been like, maybe don't even own a computer. They do like Lisa Rothstein, one of the ladies I shouted out in the beginning. She does cartoons for like the New Yorker and like big publications. And so let's say she didn't even have a computer. Okay. So she's been around for 50 years. She makes 6 figures a year. She's now out of business because of AB5. Because in California, you can't be an independent contractor unless your business has nothing to do with your business.
I don't know. I just, I feel like I just don't need a union to protect me, and then at the same time say, if you're like up on the chopping block, they'd be like, okay, we'll agree with the employer, and you're gone anyway. Like, they still have, they still don't have like the true say in whether you're staying with a company or not staying with a company. They say they protect you, but when it comes to like the chopping block, are you really protected? No, you're really not. And they say that that's what dues are for, but where is your money really going?
Right. They're basically a negotiator on your behalf. They don't actually have any say whether you get fired or not. There's other legal things they can do, like force arbitration for you, force court appearances, things like that. But I agree 100%, Kim. It's kind of like anybody that says, oh, I guarantee you this, but they can't actually guarantee it.
I worked the only time I ever I was a part of a union. I was working for UPS for about 2 years, and probably it wasn't a great experience because once you are you're part of a union, you can work as slow as you want. And as soon as the supervisor comes up to you and says, hey, pick it up, there's a lot of packages here. Like, what are we doing? They'll drop the package and say, I'm going to talk to my shop steward. I want to talk to my union rep. I don't, and that's one of the biggest issues, just the efficiency effort. But let me try to be like a devil's advocate here. I was late, so I was like, whatever. Right. If, for instance, if the gig worker did get unfairly deactivated, there is no way to go about it. Really. I mean, yes, you can, I know Rideshare Professor has some kind of company or whatever. I guess you can find ways to go about it. But should there be protection for unfairly deactivations and stuff like that? Like, there isn't really. Like, it could be anything.
Well, but here's one issue though too. I mean, okay, if I'm an independent contractor and I'm running some construction thing here in Denver, I don't need to have a reason why I'm done using that guy. I can just be done. You know what I mean? So in that essence, he could be deactivated if that's what you want to call it. Like if he's like, so I'm going to do all the plumbing, and you're like, yeah, and he does one bathroom, and you're like, you know what? I'm going to go a different route.
Yeah.
Why? I don't need to tell you. And they don't. That's part of the IC rule. They don't need to tell you anything. So,
well, I agree with Hannibal right here, though. That little part right there about the deactivation. So many people get deactivated for things that the customer did. It wasn't even the driver's fault. I do feel that.
Oh, we know
something
this
needs to
happens
be put in place. Something needs to be put in place specifically for that. That's kind of why I like doing the gig thing too. I'm recording every single one of my drop-offs just in case something happened, but it shouldn't have to come to that right there. It like there should be something set up. Like I don't know, but there's so many drivers. I have heard drivers, I got deactivated last week. I'm like, what? But there are things that are out of your control and they don't let you back in because it's like if you're deactivated, it's like taboo to bring you back. So
hey, it's even worse. It's even worse than that with the data sharing, because you could do something on Uber, and if somebody was drunk, and let's say you've got the whole thing on dash cam, even, you're fine. Everybody was in the back seat and there was people drunk and whatever. And the next morning you get deactivated because some girl says you touched her. You've got the whole ride on camera. You didn't touch anybody. You weren't near them. They've already shared that with, if it's Uber, they've already shared it with Lyft. If it's Lyft, they've already shared it with Uber, and you're already kicked off both platforms. You've already been deactivated from both, and that's called data sharing, and that is allowed. So if Uber says, oh, sexual misconduct, it's not what this country is about. It's not innocent until proven guilty. It's you're guilty, and we're going to share it with Lyft, and you're going to get deactivated over there too.
That's wicked.
That's crazy.
I mean, that's just the gig. That's just the gig world, though. Is I guess my sad point there. Is
my thing is
just what it is. Every day you're in that position to be deactivated and never have any reason given to you why. I mean, I have 29,000 ride shares. If I started this back up tomorrow and got right back into rideshare, there's nothing that would stop Uber from, in 3 days, let's say, just saying you're deactivated and me saying what for. I've been working for you guys since 2014. What am I deactivated for? What did I do? And they won't reply.
There's no perfect method though. I mean, everybody at the end of the day can say there needs to be something, but there's never going to be anything that's going to satisfy every requirement that somebody needs.
True.
I mean, we could say, okay, we need a council. Okay, who's going to control the council then? Who's going to oversee the council? Who's going to oversee that council? It would be a very never-ending thing, and at the same thing, you're gonna have the same result.
That's why I'm kind of looking at this Prop 22 thing and pulling out my hair. I'm kind of like going, like, what is to stop people from taking those worst orders, a $2 order that DoorDash puts out there, and just taking an hour to deliver it? Pick it up and take an hour to deliver it.
Well, I mean, I guess the deliver by time. Maybe.
I say, wouldn't you get deactivated for not delivering it on time?
Yeah, on time. I mean, because if you don't deliver, like I know they say that the on time doesn't matter, but I guarantee you, if you have a 10% on time, they're going to deactivate you.
But you still could play this clock to the utmost, though. You could become very lazy about your work.
Well, that's what I was saying. There's off the top of my head, just as we're very thinkers about how all this stuff works, how to protect stuff. Right off the top of my head, I was like, man, I can do 3 orders. I can collect 3 different checks all at the same time while just doing deliveries. There's nothing to stop me. Like Robert said, there's nothing to stop me from running 3 orders at the same time, collecting 3 AB checks at the same time. Same thing. There's nothing that stops you from picking up 2 orders at the same time, taking a whole hour to do them, even though they're 2 miles away, and still collecting the same money. Except for that must deliver by, XXX.
Right. That was one of the things with DoorDash. Like when I worked for DoorDash, I didn't like that. I didn't like how they said you got to check in at a certain time and do this and that. And sometimes it's like if you're in traffic, like there's nothing there that can save you from traffic and things like that. And you get there and start sending you all these messages. And I was like, I went on pause for a little bit. They kicked me out of my session, and then I couldn't get back in. I said, I can't do this. And then they're paying too cheap. I said, what is going on here? That's why it's crazy to hear me say this. People say, are you nuts? I only have one app, and I only do Uber Eats and Postmates. I figured out with service, I only need one app, and that's it. I'm not going to put myself to go through getting irritated through these small payouts when I know I can make more. I'm just going to alleviate that all in all. And DoorDash is so cheap. Let me tell you this. They told the lawyers that I never worked for them and I didn't get my wages here for the settlement here. Postmates did, but DoorDash, I had to go through all these loops. It never happened, so I just stopped working for them. Small payouts plus denying me, I cannot work for you.
Well, Grubhub, and speaking of DoorDash time, Grubhub now has their violations as well. And I know Uber does also.
Yes.
It doesn't show it in the app, but they will flag your account if you take too long to deliver stuff.
Yep,
yes.
And I actually know how to say this person's name correctly. It's Giuseppe. Did I say that right? I think I did. Give me a thumbs up if I did.
Say his last name.
Sound right.
What?
Say his last name.
Piazzi.
Yeah.
Giuseppe Piazzi.
Yeah.
If I got that right,
I like that name.
Thumbs up in there. But yeah, so I mean that's what he's saying right here too, is the same thing, like
yeah, all the apps have. I know he said that Robert said that he doesn't like to do DoorDash because they have a certain time frame that you got to pick up and deliver. All the apps have that. Grubhub has that.
Well, yeah, they all have it. They all have it. It just seems like I don't know if it's DoorDash, if they're just sending notifications out constantly or whatever. Uber Eats, what it does, if you're not like on time, they'll send you a emergency text and it says, are you okay? And you got to hit you're okay. And it'll, something like that. But if you're just doing your job, you're always going to be on time. So you don't run into that. But, they do have it. People that are constantly running into that, you got to question what they're doing on the job.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, part of me too is thinking, this is so wild to me, this Prop 22 thing. Like, it basically seems to me like all these companies are just saying, okay, whatever it is in your area, 16, like I was talking to Dark Road Run, who's in San Francisco, Joe, and he said that that's 22 in San Francisco for the Prop 22.
Oh, wait. So I need to move.
So if he's on the app, if he's active, it's almost like it doesn't even matter what they're presenting you. Like if DoorDash is saying, hey, here's a $2 order, it doesn't matter because if you're active time, you're going to get whatever the minimum wage is in your area plus the tips. You're just gonna. So why do they even show you an amount anymore?
But maybe it's like the hustler in me. I'm thinking there's no way I'm thinking in my head, there's no way, to Gary's point, you're going to get through 8 orders in an hour. So to me, the more, I don't know, I guess the more money you make, the more you're going to get from Prop 22. So yes, you would want to take the $2 orders. You can. It really doesn't affect anything because you're still getting paid by Prop 22. But wouldn't you want to keep taking orders to even get, I guess the greed in me is like, give me more, give me more, give me more. And you keep gaining more money just because you're still making good choices and you're still getting tips
wise though.
Yeah.
So, for tips reasons, yes.
Right. So I guess I'm like seeing like dollar signs in my head going up, like
you're all the way right.
Dollar signs.
Those dollar signs you were seeing, you are all the way right, because like, and this is the craziest thing, you're getting it and you're sitting there, right? I'm in this state. There's drivers here they do not get it. They do not understand it. It's dollar signs right there. When you do your Prop 22, I'll give it to you just like this. If you average 30 hours each week, so if you have 60 hours in 2 weeks on Uber Eats, you're going to get an extra $550 every 2 weeks. You're going to get an extra $1,100 in the month. Okay. The more active hours you do, the more money you are going to get back on Prop 22. So this is when sometimes I say in my state, and this is where I got to clear it up. I tell some of the DoorDash drivers in my state, sometimes suck it up and take some of these orders, because you're going to take the order and it might get done quick and you'll get another order, and then your active time is still going to continue. You know what I mean? You can still be selective. You can still be selective and multi-app and still make it work for you. You have to just do the science and figure out how to make that happen. You know what I mean? You can make so much money. Prop 22 it's breaking the bank. That is breaking the bank. And until they fix it, I got to break the bank.
Well, see, there's also a difference. You know, as Kim says, she sees the more she makes, the more she wants to work, because she knows the more she's going to make. That's a worker's mindset. But then you got them people like, oh, I can sit around for an hour, get $22. I ain't got to do nothing. So you know, it's
well, you got to be active time though.
Well, that's what I'm saying though. But they can like take 1-2 orders,
right.
To where, you know, Kim says she's gonna say, okay, I can take this order, that order. As long as she's not hitting those 8 orders per hour, she's still making extra money. Which what normal people would do, 3 to 5 orders in an hour. You know, so she's still getting extra money for those other 3 orders that she's never making.
Exactly.
So that was my question to Joe, Dark Road Run. I was like, so it's 22 in the city. It's in San Francisco. That's crazy. I'm like, do you find that you need that? And he had said that it's nice to know it's there, but I don't think he uses it. I don't think he uses that crutch. He doesn't need it. He makes more than 22.
Because of the market, the LA market, and the San Francisco market.
He's in San Francisco, and he does rideshare too.
That's the market. That is the market. Like if there's that is the market. He can literally just use one app and have to turn his app off to stop orders from coming in. That's how busy it is. You can literally work and just do your regular driving and not even use any of your Prop 22 and save that all up if you wanted to. If you're a driver with the grind, you don't even need the Prop 22 because you were making that without it. You know what I mean? So when someone has the grind, someone that's not lazy, they're just adding in extras and extras and extras. But you do get, like Gary said, you get the people that want to be a little lazier. Now, it works out for them in this way. If they are just choosing and picking, they can actually choose and spend the whole hour for 2 orders and have both those orders be $15 orders, $17 orders, do those in that hour and get an extra 16 on top of that. And they only did 2 orders. So if they took advantage of it like that, they can still make more. But some people just don't have it like that out here. But that is a way to make more there too. With the
so is the reason why Dark Road Run doesn't need it, or he doesn't get it? We'll say he doesn't get it because it's automatic, correct?
Yes.
So you can't turn it on and off. So I would assume the reason why he's not getting it is probably because he's a rideshare driver, and he's paid by the mile, not by the order.
They're still under Prop 22.
Yeah, Prop 22 for rideshare.
Right. But if you take an order, you know right away, like we said, for him to hit his hourly quota, he's going to need to do 8 orders in an hour. Rideshare, you might not have to do that because the per mile rates add up. Right. You know, if you do a lot of driving per hour, I would have to calculate it, but you could probably hit that $22 an hour base rate a lot quicker.
I'm also assuming, and I don't know because I'm over on the East Coast, not the West Coast, but I'm assuming it still falls under the 1099, right? It's not what they give you for Prop 22. Yeah, it's not taxed, right? So the government's still getting their money at the end of the year by even, you know, you guys are getting like all this Prop 22 money, but it still has to go away to taxes, I'm assuming,
exactly.
Correct?
And that is the major thing. These people don't understand about you are your own business and you are 1099. There's some people that are just collecting money and it's gonna rude awakening is gonna hit them. They have no idea about Johnny Law. They don't know anything about Johnny Law right there. So, while you're making this money, people that are, I spend the money that I get so I can write it off, so I can do my thing. You know what I mean? So there's people that just don't take advantage of that, and they end up owing so much, and then they stop driving. They stop driving because they owe so much, and they can't pay their car and stuff anymore, and it gets bad.
I think in a nutshell, here's the bottom line: is, I mean, none of us would kick Prop 22 out of our bed. I mean, it sounds like a great deal. There's just something really sketchy about her or him being in your bed.
Yeah, you can't believe it. You cannot believe it. You know what I mean? You got the breakfast. You getting your house clean. You're like, she's watching sports with you. She wants to throw darts and do all this stuff, and it's like this can't be real. No woman. Is this a robot? No real woman is like this. And then you're like, oh no, it's actually real. I gotta love her like that. It's real. That's my babe right there. So
obviously you've only had how long has it been up there? Prop 22.
Like a year.
Since 2020.
Okay. Have you filed
January 2020.
Have you filed taxes since it's been out?
Yes.
Okay. How did it affect your tax income brackets?
It depends. It depends on what market you're in, okay, and how you're doing it. Some people know how to disguise and mask so that it's still like but then you'll get some people who go real hard. But as long as you're taking care of all your tax situation, it's really not going to matter. You're going to go into a higher tax bracket if you're grinding, no matter what. If whatever you were doing before Prop 22, it just bumped you up.
Right, because I believe you said $500 and something extra every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So that's like $12,000 a year, roughly.
Yeah. And
extra.
then with the healthcare stipend, if you do the 327 hours each quarter, that's an extra $4,800, an extra $5,000 also on top of that. So if you're working right and doing your thing, you're gonna get like an extra $20,000 if you're doing your thing right. So yeah.
And then you guys get free gas money and everything in California. And I'm not trying to just keep hitting on these things, but it's just incredible to me, because here's the other thing. Why on earth, and I know enough people in California up and down the state, why on earth are they not even slowing down the hiring process at these places? They're onboarding like it's every other state still and letting you into this Prop 22 world.
I'm still waiting on Grubhub. It's been like 2 years. I'm still waiting on Grubhub.
Okay, but a lot of people are in a lot of markets. I'm just saying, like, you could be in San Francisco today, apply for DoorDash, and they're going to let you be into DoorDash, and now you're going to make at least $22 an hour just by turning the app on and doing one order an hour or whatever.
Well,
lazily going about your day.
You would have to actually be on that order for a whole hour, though.
2 orders.
Well,
whatever. I mean, I'm just saying, like you don't have to.
You
don't have to hustle. If you're okay with 22 an hour, you don't have to hustle. You don't have to do anything.
And if it's a slow day, why wouldn't you? I mean, just leisurely deliver. 22.
I know. I guess that concerns me though. Like how on earth? I mean, these companies threaten the franchise model if it came to this. I feel like it came to this where like they're paying everybody minimum wage now.
But I will say, and the more I'm thinking,
slow down hiring.
Yeah, but the more I'm thinking about this, Robert, you were saying, I think it's going back to what you were saying is, and I guess this is why you only use one app. It's almost more beneficial to use one app than multi-apping, because then your hours get calculated, correct, all for one app. But if you do 3 or 4 different apps, they're not calculated that same way, correct? So you might get, I'm making this up, 30 hours here, 20 hours here, 50 hours here. It's all separate. It's not lumped into one big huge hours.
You're nickel and diming it instead of having it all in one lump sum. If I get all of my active hours in one spot, I know exactly what's going on. You know what I mean? And if you're doing all the multi-apping and trying to, it's too. I will go crazy. I can't do it. I can't. One app. That's all I need. One app and service will set me free.
I'm the same as Kim. If I can, I was even telling Gary today that this is an odd thing. It was about 10 months ago when I started working with the Curry team and everything. And I've done my route runners and I've done, you know, all the hot shot runs, and I've had some great days here and there, but already twice this week, 2 different days this week for the first time ever, I've done full days on Curry. Full days, and I've done them local too. What I've now noticed with Curry is they're picking up hot with summer coming, and I'm running paint all over, and paint seems to be in some kind of crazy fiasco right now of moving like this. 5 gallons of paint is like gold. I don't know why. It's like carrying gold around your car, man.
They're moving drugs in that stuff. There's too much paint going around. I'm just like, you're delivering paint, I'm delivering paint.
Well, no, but man, I did a whole day. I did the whole day, and I was telling Gary, like, here's my very bottom line. I don't work any gig app that I can't make perform in the Denver market. If I can't make it perform $30 an hour minimally for me, I don't work it. That's my number. If I can't make that, I won't work an app. I will do what Kim does, and I've juggled them, but if I can't make a specific app work that, then I don't find it worth my time. I just recently, when I did these 2 full days of just Curry, and I didn't even turn my shipped on, which is my kind of go-to lately. I left it off, and I ended up making near $50 an hour for 6 hours one day and 8 the other. Twice this week. And I mean, summer's around the corner. So, I mean, it's been a little slower through the winter with Curry, but here we go. And it's just booming back up. So, like, I guess I wonder where, like, somewhere like something like a Curry's going to fall in this California deal too. Like, you know, people got to get turned on to these better apps, because first of all, I don't know how something like that sustains. I feel like it's just they're going to find other ways to take it out on the workers, because these DoorDash and these companies don't just kind of bend over and let the workers call the shots. They're not known for that. I don't think
Curry and them would have to pay anything extra, because they don't have any tips. Exactly. It's all base pay.
Right. And you're paid so well that it's like any order you get is going to pay for that hour easy.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I mean, like this week, I mean, I've never been able to make a full day on Curry only. And I've been able to make 2 this week alone. I tried to do Tuesday too, but I couldn't make it happen. But Monday and Wednesday, I made it happen. You know, I mean, that's crazy to me, because like Gary said, I was just moving paint around, and I was staying local. I was doing 4-mile rides. I mean, these were paying like $70, 4 miles, $60. I mean, they're just paying so ridiculous, and I'm just moving paint around. You know, I'll do it all day. I don't care. For that kind of money, I'll
go where the money's at.
Double me down. I don't even care what's in the paint, man. I don't care if it is gold or what I'm carrying.
Paint. He's gonna sign up for that the sex doll things, cleaning them.
Oh man, no man.
Yeah, I mean, that's that's why I experiment on so many different apps, because you're always trying to get to the minimum you're trying to get on a daily basis, and it's finding like that right combination mix. And if you keep trying new apps, you never know if a new one might actually replace an old one, and it might even be like that much better.
I respect your grind on that, Kim. I watch your videos, and I see how you do that too. Because you're like, okay, no, I'm trying this one. This one's in. Okay, you're moving down the roster. This one, you know what I mean? You do it like an actual team roster right there, and I like that, because that actually shows that you're not going to settle. You're not going to settle for whatever's there. So I respect that too. You have a lot of apps, and you know how to juggle those apps though. You make it work for you. There's a lot of people that have them, and some of them are just dusty. You keep yours in motion.
So Robert, how many apps do you drive, Robert? Just the one, right?
Just the one.
How many are you signed up for?
Okay, so I might still be signed up for Instacart. I haven't done it. And I've Instacart. There's one called Best Deliveries. I'm signed up with WAG. I'm signed up. Best Deliveries. Yeah. And I narrowed them down there. I eliminated all the other ones. I just have them there as backup plans. I never use them. Once Instacart, they hit me with the 3-story, 3 cases of 24-pack of water, and all the 17, 18-year-old boys didn't want to come help me. I had to do the trip. I was like, I'm done with Instacart. That was my last thing.
I think we've all been there.
So, I just I just stick with the Uber Eats and Postmates, just because, man, when you're able to break into someone's personal zone, the tips that they give you are just ridiculous. I figured out I can make so much more on one app and just my tips and service. I don't want to give myself headaches and push myself off of being on the road that I'm on. You know what I mean? If I'm not straightforward and focused, it's not gonna work. I have to be like leveled in. So if I do multiple apps, my wife will probably kick me out. She'll probably kick me out. I'll be all over the place.
But if you didn't have Prop 22, you
Oh,
probably
without
couldn't
Prop
do one.
22, I know. Without Prop 22, man, let me tell you. Without Prop 22, I'm doing the exact same thing I was doing before Prop 22 was in. I'm not dependent on Prop 22. I'm getting $1,000, $1,100 checks without Prop 22. My service has always had me get all the extra money. I have never had an issue at all. I started off with Postmates, and everyone says when they started off, I hated how the pay was. I understood how the pay was. You're getting $3 at first, and then depending on your service, on what you do, they're going to give you more. And then your tips would come. Your tips would actually come 24 hours later. And you would get paid for that day 7 days later after that. I understood all of that. And I went in there, and that's how it was then. Service. So when they added in Prop 22, it was just like, I'm just getting free money. I'm not doing anything extra. I'm doing literally the exact same thing. I'm not doing anything extra. The only thing extra is every 2 weeks, I'm getting like imaginary money.
Hey, Hannibal, just because we're semi-close to each other, do you think that this would ever come to like New York City, since they were already trying to regulate a whole bunch of stuff for independent contractors?
I think, yeah, actually they're gonna have something happening next year. They're gonna set a rate, which the city has not. I don't know who's setting the rate. Don't know what the rate is, but there will be a rate for per delivery in 2023. So we'll see.
My guess is they'll use that same type algorithm they did with the rideshare, where it's going to be like literally like $29 an hour because of expenses and things like that they have to think about.
Yeah.
And then they'll actually break all that down. So there's actually going to be automobile maintenance and things like that built into all this mechanics now.
But also they I think a lot of companies realize how many bike couriers we have in New York City and Brooklyn, because driving a car is a bit of a challenge due to the congestion. So I'm wondering if they'll even have it lower, because like, well, these guys are on e-bikes and bicycles anyway, or on scooters, which I'm assuming is cheaper to maintain than a car. But a lot of these scooters, these people are putting in, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 into it, and that's their lifeblood. Like, that's how they make their money. So it may be even a lower rate, because they're like, well, these guys are going back and forth, 10 to 15 minutes on bikes anyway. So how, you don't necessarily need to make it a certain amount of money. So I'm interested to know where it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be a positive thing. Not at all. I think it's going to be a problem.
I don't think they're going to take the scooters into account, because I mean, everybody's getting gas money and they have electric vehicles. So
yeah.
Which I'm surprised you haven't hit on this. I actually checked your stream for it today. New York today, they're now showing full payout for all gig apps.
That's an interesting thing. Like I've seen that, right? Like I've heard about the news, but then you will go on, I'm still on Facebook groups, and someone always will post like they're not showing it. So it's kind of, I hope that they will, because they're supposed to. They're supposed to.
I have a friend that's up there today, and he sent me screenshots today. Today his app went live, and it's showing full payout. It no longer says tip may be higher or whatever DoorDash says.
Okay.
It also has a filter on the DoorDash app for max distance. So for like bike messengers or bike couriers and stuff, they can go in there. I mean, I'm guessing cars can do it as well, because he's in a car, but they can now set a max distance from the restaurant to the customer. Doesn't mean that if you're 10 miles away that you're not going to get the request, because it might be 1 mile from the store to the customer. But I just seen that today, and I was like, Nice. So
wait a
that's
minute.
for the bikers, because that's the thing. Like sometimes you're on the bike, you're either downtown Brooklyn or you're downtown where all the restaurants are, and then sometimes they'll want you, even they know you're on a bike, to go like ridiculous far distance. It's like it doesn't make sense. Even on an e-bike, because battery life is important. You need
go across the bridge there on an e-bike.
Yeah. I mean, Instacart would take you from Brooklyn to deliver groceries in Manhattan. And I did that once. That was when I first started Instacart. I realized that was so stupid of me. Why did I pick this?
You got to watch out on the e-bikes, though. You have to watch out on those. When you sign up for a bike and then customer service, they somehow want to give you a call. They want to figure out if you have just a regular bike or an e-bike. When you let them know you have an e-bike, they don't let you know, but they send you on further out trips. And then sometimes they'll have you go on routes where they kind of want your e-bike to go onto like a higher pace road, and it's dangerous for those guys on the bikes.
Yeah,
always tell them you're on a pedal bike. Always say pedal bike.
Yeah,
always.
Was that Pedro there? Said these apps love Robert. Yes, Pedro. These apps love me, man, because my service is going to the customers that signed up.
See, I'm gonna play Hannibal here and play the devil's advocate on this one and say that they don't, because they actually hate Robert and all the gig workers because they're sick of paying them all Prop 22 money.
Yeah,
that's one thing I was
That's
talking
our
to.
base
I was
pay
thinking
right
about
there.
it. How the companies are making money? Like how they make any money? Actually, there was a comment, I forgot who put. I think it was Picky Pink, that the idea, like, if you're doing multi-apping and you're taking three orders in an hour, you should only get paid for the hour, not for each platform.
Well, that's what I was getting at. Is there's
like
no regulation between them to make sure that you're not double or triple, quadruple dipping.
Yeah, and I think she kind of made the idea like this seems to be a bit I think it was like dishonest or inappropriate to do multi-apping and Prop 22. So I'll ask Robert, like, what do you think about that?
It's
that
sketchy
idea?
and dishonest. Is that what you mean?
you know what? The moral thing is thrown out the window. Like, it's kind of hard to like literally, like, once someone understands what's going on, there's no morale. There is no morale, because you go into this. How many times have you worked at a job? You worked at a W-2 and they made you stay all this overtime and you didn't get paid. They made you work on the holiday. You couldn't spend time with your family. It was 4th of July. You missed the fireworks 3 years in a row. Man, you know what I mean?
It sounds like you're calling for memory or something.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So once someone sees that, no, the morale is thrown out the window. It's get yours and get it in. Once they stop it, they stop it. If they don't stop it, people are going to keep eating. You know what I mean?
Like I said, I'm with Hannibal. I'm surprised that they haven't implemented something to stop it. You know, like if I had to pay out all these gig drivers and I knew that they were multi-apping or purposely taking longer than they should, I would be throwing a fit with the state.
Well, let's not forget that these are the companies that spent $208 million to make sure that Prop 22 passed and allowed gig workers to keep working under this new condition. So
what
DoorDash, Lyft, Uber, Instacart, they were the four majors of $208 million to make sure that this is how it played out, which is weird because this playing out way is very weird. I would think that everybody needs to be on some kind of system where only the platforms are kicking in for the percentage of time you worked on those platforms. And if they overlap, that's a foul.
Well, here's what kind of pays for all that, Steve. When it first came in, every single customer on every single app in California, you're paying an extra $2 no matter what, on top of the service fees and everything else that come in that whole package. Now, let's say the percentages of, let's say, the orders that go in and customers don't get their orders and there's no refund, all that extra money goes into what those service fees are, and that kind of keeps it revolving, so it's kind of hard to stop it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, I like the comment below that. It says, there's a reason for it. Follow the money.
Yeah. I was just going to pull that up too. I think Thomas and him both had, Thomas brought up something too, something will eventually close that Pandora's box. And then, yes, Why? Because follow that money. But then that reason justification becomes very strange, because a lot of these platforms threatened to leave or go to a franchise model or things of that nature. It didn't happen. Instead, they fought for this. And this outcome seems very weird to me, because it feels like you're paying, they're now paying for what they know they should pay, of this $16 to $22 an hour, depending on where you are in California, let's say. But they're going to pay you that plus all the tips. Well, then, okay, then why aren't you doing that everywhere? If that's how you know that it works.
Well, didn't you just say on the customer side that they're charging extra $2 per order?
Yes.
Ooh.
So, I mean, the gig companies aren't paying for this. The customers are.
Well, then how are they onboarding all these people? I mean, I guess everybody in California just doesn't look at the line items and just pays.
Well, and that's the funniest thing, because at first, before it got voted in, everyone was against paying the extra $2. Once it got voted in, they somehow just seemed to forget about, the extra $2, and they're just ordering as normal. So sometimes I'll deliver to the same house 3 times in one day. Sometimes it's like that. So that person just paid an extra $6 that day that's going in to help fund this stuff. You know what I mean?
On top of the fees they're already paying.
Yeah, on top of the fees. And then check this out. Here's why, it's weird that I do what I do. On top of all the fees that they do, I still get them to give me extra money on top of that. You know what I mean? So when people say customers are cheap, I'm living proof that no, they have to pay all these fees, and then they still find something in me to give me extra on top of that.
I feel like that's one big expensive Big Mac meal to get.
Man, you can order like 3 things and it's like $25. Okay, little Caesars, right? You get that little $5 pizza, one $5 pizza. Okay, one $5 pizza with a $3 tip. You're spending $17.50. So that's
it's expensive, but
that's why that new model of go pick it up yourself and still pay or whatever.
As much as we all complain, and a lot of people complain about when you order something from any of these platforms and you just look at the price, you're like, I just ordered a sandwich. Like, but the customer should pay more money, because we should not be seeing $2 at all, regardless of tips or not. So it's kind of a hard thing to say, but I think the customers that are looking for these things need to pay. The company or the customer need to pay the drivers more, as I guess not more money, but the appropriate amount of money. $3 and $4 is not cutting it. So as much as we could say it's kind of sucky that they charge an extra $2, but we gotta pay the people at least a decent amount of money. And I think that's where it is. I think if you're going to stay home and not get your food, you gotta pay. You gotta pay an appropriate amount of money.
Well, that's why they added all those fees in California, just to see how, if people really want the food, they'll go ahead and pay that service fee, and they're paying it, and they're paying it. That's why here in California, I tell the drivers, don't look, man. The drivers, the passengers, the customers are already paying extra. You know what I mean? So half of them are already mad because they already have to spend all this on that food. So when you get to that door, just smile a little bit, make them forget about that, man. They're charging them. Look, man,
Hey.
I hate ordering, and I tell my wife, I say, babe, stop ordering so much. But she is an orderaholic. I guess that's what you call them. She orders. And I'm like, man, when I actually go through the numbers that she's doing from ordering, it is ridiculous. But you know why she doesn't care? Because she accepts her orders like me, and she gets all of her active time in, and that Prop 22 is letting her pay for all them orders.
I mean, I gotta say, the Prop 22 thing seems like a solution to me. It seems like a bit of a trial, like some kind of lab experiment that's about to go wrong at any minute. I just can't help but feel that way, man. I don't know. The one thing I will say is that I do feel like a lot of people, I'm not going to call it entitled, but I do feel like a lot of people in California are used to 100 line items on everything they do. Like, oh, I'm going to go out for the night. Here, it's going to cost you this much. And here's a breakdown. I feel like they're just always, okay, the green energy, the this, save the whales. Yep. And we're going to build a bridge, and yep. And this. I feel like they're just like, okay with it. Like, okay, this is just California. It's what it is.
Well, GDP is probably as much money than like countries. Like, so they have so much money in California, but I think they kind of go in weird directions. I don't know.
Yeah, they have to. The money in California is so long that they have it goes in weird places. They have to put it in some spot. It doesn't go back to us. I'll tell you that. I'll tell you that. But look, Pedro just said the comment here. He said facts. 99% of what people order isn't essential. Must pay a premium for a luxury or non-essential item. Now, here's the thing when it comes down to this delivery thing. If there is a luxury service out there, you know, it's not going to be what the average people can go ahead and order. That's going to be your Beverly Hills. You know, you're getting your Whole Foods Market. You're getting things like that. When it comes down to ordering food, there can't be a separation in luxury and what's essential, because you don't know what's essential in someone's home. Someone may have a disorder and they actually need that little thing. So you can't say someone should have to pay more based upon if the item doesn't seem like it's luxury or not. You know, they try to put things in line to have it so, you know, but it's it's a lottery. It's the customer. We just got to go off with whatever happens. We have to be reactional.
I have to take a minute here to slam Instacart.
Please do.
I just do.
Please do.
I already explained this to Hannibal. Actually, I sent him some screenshots, I think, and I told Gary about this. I literally saw the most disgusting thing I've ever seen yesterday. Kim, I know you've toyed maybe with the idea of Instacart, so I'll just hopefully unplug you from that forever right here. Because because yesterday I literally, I don't even ever work it. And I know Bot Soda's in here. Hi, Bud Soda. But I know he's going to come back at me about this Instacart thing. But honestly, I saw a Sprouts order. Okay. It was for 51 or 59 items or whatever it was. It was to go 2.5 miles from that Sprouts to like a $500,000 home in Northfield. And that Sprouts is like 3 miles from where I am. The house is the 2.5 miles away. So we're now talking about 2 hours of my time, 59 items or 51 items. It's going to be 2 hours. I'm going to end up driving my car, all this, that, the other. The order was for $9.01 with no tip.
Oh.
So let's break that down. That's $450.5 an hour.
That's horrible.
I mean, $4.50 an hour, and you have to pay the gas too.
Dang, it ain't been like that since '76.
I mean, that's like, I mean, the worst thing is that's a Sprouts order. And I mean, that should say much
too.
But,
like, you didn't take it, someone took it.
Oh, I jumped right on it, man. That's mine.
This is my thing. The more, and I've said this before, the more drivers take these $2.75 order, the $9 crazy order on Instacart, the more these companies are going to say, well, drivers are taking them, so we're going to keep shooting them out, and it's okay because drivers are taking them. Someone's taking them. So nothing's, I hate to say I'm going to be negative for a half a second, nothing's really going to change because people are still taking these crap orders. And
somebody took that order. I mean, like fairly quickly too. Like I was very shocked because I'm like, okay, who took this? And like, how do you not even just basic math, just sitting there in your head going, even if gas were free, even if I don't pay for gas is free. It's still not worth it to me to do that.
Not worth your time.
No, it's not worth no, that's what I'm saying. If gas were free, it's not worth my time.
Yeah, the only time I take an order like that is if it's the first one you get, first one you take, because that could be the one that leads to something great. Hannibal hates that. He hates that I do that so much. He hates that. But look,
I told Steve this earlier. I don't care if there's a guarantee of 16, 22. If you send me a $3 order, it's going to get declined. Period. I don't care.
Robert, you heard me yesterday talking about it. Me and Pedro talking about it. We think it's your pre-game start, right? Like if you're LeBron, you take the chalk, you throw up in the air. That's your thing, right? You just take one and you move.
Take one and go.
Well, I forgot what was it. Pull my gig. It was like, all right, I'll take the first order, and then I look at it, it's $3. Like, you know what? I'm gonna take the second order, and I'm gonna take it because that's how most of us are going to do it. But I understand your move, so I don't hate it. I don't agree with it. Right. I don't say that. I don't agree with it.
It seems a little wild to me
that's
too.
The only time I'm taking a random order that is just off the wall. That's the only time it comes in. Because other than that, I got to say no. If it's doable and I want to go back, the Lone Ranger comes out and I can't turn him down.
Daphne asks, is it a karma thing? Is it kind of like a good luck charm? Is it kind of like I said, a pregame kind of flow? Like you just want to start the day. Let me just take one and see what happens.
I'm an athlete. I'm a sports dude. I'm a coach. I put on my socks the same way every day. I lace my shoes up the same way every day. And before I get going, let's say there's a little kitten at your door, right? The little kitten.
So it's not even karma. It's superstition.
Sitting there meowing and it's like, man, you walk past that cat. You're like, man, I don't want that cat. You walk past the cat and somehow, like the end of the night, the cat's dead. You know what I mean? The cat's dead. But if you would have picked up that cat and saved that cat's going to be the strongest cat, like He-Man's cat. And you got
that's a long stretch from a $3 order to a
That's what I'm saying, Gary. Look, I put that stretch in there so I can actually, you know what?
So everybody heard it first. If you don't take a $3 order a day, you're gonna see a dead cat. Robert said so.
He said you're gonna see a dead cat. See, but that's the beauty of it, man. That's the beauty of this whole thing. You're like, who would take that order? Well, if it's the first one, people, it's me. Let's go ahead and get that out the window.
Yeah.
So what time do you start so I know to not tip you? No,
Oh no, man. I get now, Kim. That's one thing. I might take the cheap ones, but when it's come time, I'm trying to flip every order. I'm trying to flip that house. I'm trying to flip every order. When I'm going to that house, they better be ready for the game because I'm coming to play.
We do have to point out though that he's not taking $3 DoorDash orders. He's taking Uber Eats orders, which can tip after the fact.
But he's also not taking $3 or $4 or $5 Uber Eats orders. He's taking $16 an hour Uber Eats orders.
Right. Well, what I'm getting at is a lot of people are going to be like, "Oh, $3 order," Well, a lot of times, Uber Eats, like I can take a $6 order on Uber Eats because I know after I deliver it, they're going to tip me more. Compared to DoorDash, $6 is $6.
I still think that we get a lot of people who argue that even a no tip on an Uber Eats order, like you see so many people saying no tip, not doing it. But I think that the Uber Eats one is kind of a different game. In a lot of markets, Uber Eats sucks. In some, it doesn't. But when it doesn't, you got to remember that at least like when I hear Robert talk about this, sometimes I completely relate to it from the service industry standpoint because I can say, man, you got to give great service before you get a good tip. And I know that they created an industry that almost tells you not to tip the same and not to treat this, but it doesn't matter. You got to go out there and give the best service before you get a good tip.
I meant to tell you this, Steve. The other day I went to a restaurant, Five Guys Five Guys. I don't know if you guys have that in your area. Mm-hmm. Sat down at the table, ordered, blah, blah, blah. At the end of the thing, the waitress brings over the tab. It's strapped around her neck, and she pulls it out and gives it to me to sign and everything. Like, so if you hit no tip on that, I mean, you're doing it right to her face. I think that's how customers have to do it too. If it's, hey, here, you need to sign this right here.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've all seen that since the pandemic. I don't know, like I see way more include the tip buttons anywhere you go.
Well, I mean, this one just includes
anything you stick your card in says, do you want 15, 20, 40%?
It was a tablet around her neck on a string, and she literally, like, you can't pull it away. You can't set it down. Nothing. No, you have to do it right there in front of her. Right. And it was just awkward. Even though I tip, it was still awkward for me.
Right. Well, could you just be like, hey, can you turn around for a minute?
No, you know what? If it's right there in your face, hey, they should be all the way with being frank and everything. If your service sucks, you're going to get that sucky tip right in your face. You can't put it in my face and think just
the
because
thing is, I don't think that would happen.
It don't work like that.
I will say though, like I feel like a lot of times there's a lot of drivers out there that forget we are still in the custom. I'm with you, Steve. I feel like there is still a lot of drivers who don't realize we're in the customer service industry. We're still in it. Like it's still a form of what we do every single day. And, you know, treating customers the way that we would want to be treated. Like, I feel like there's a lot of drivers that are like, no, I'm just going to drop it off and keep going and not use my hot bag and not, you know, not do the proper things. And like, we're still in a service industry. And I think that gets lost a lot of the times in a lot of drivers.
That's what I try to bring out. And I think I get hated on in a lot in this community because they're like, he's actually doing it right. He's really not going to do the other stuff. He's really doing it for the customer. And that's just the whole thing. This job is, if there's no customers, we have no job. There's no job at all if there's no customers. So I get hated on for actually caring about the customers more than what you should. But I'm not going to stop because, you know, it's a good thing. If you watch my videos and my service and compare it to someone else and let a customer see service, the customer is going to want my service every single time. I'm going to win. I'm going to win. Service on service. If you treat the customer good, they will do it right. Now, over there in the UK, they don't tip, but I got a guy out there that's getting tip alerts out there in the UK. He's getting tip alerts on Uber Eats in the UK. He actually said, well, they don't do it here, so he's doing it there and we're making it work. He's getting tip alerts.
Yeah,
and
it's not customary to tip in other countries.
Yeah, but if he's getting it in, he's working his butt off to get that extra, is what I'm saying. In a place where they don't tip, someone will recognize hard work. You just have to be able to get it to the person that you're, you know, going to connect with. That's all it is.
Yeah, I do wonder on I mean, with the country differences though, I don't think you can always beat that. I think that is something that they're bred into, they're brought up, they're taught, don't tip people, don't do that.
Well,
I mean,
because they're brought up on the company should pay a living wage, which
right.
they do in those countries.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. Well, do they?
I don't know if they actually do, but that's what everybody tells me.
It's the same. It's the same all over, Steve. It's the
same. I was gonna say I don't
over.
think they really do pay you a living wage though.
Well, I'm saying like drivers over there actually try to make people accountable. The company's accountable in those countries compared to US where like, oh, tip. You know, if you're a waitress over there, guess what? You get paid minimum wage or whatever it is. United States, it's what, $2.85 in most states an hour as a waitress, you know, because we're so customary on, hey, you got to tip your waitress. Hey, you got to tip your waitress.
Yeah. Right. And usually like, I mean, like for all the jobs I've had anyway, like I usually offset any paycheck I would have when I was bartending. I would go in after 2 weeks to pick up my paycheck. It would be zero.
Because of taxes.
Right. I'd just be picking up a zero paycheck. It would say paycheck 0. Hours worked 90. Pay 0. I'd be okay. But all my taxes were done. It was all ran through and you know, and that's even me, and I'll be honest, that's even me not claiming any of my cash tips. That's just claiming the credit card tips that I have to claim because there's a track
what
of
cash
them.
tips. You never
I never got a cash tip.
What cash tip?
They don't exist. I don't know what
I don't even know what cash tip means.
Well, I mean, soon we won't know what cash tip means because I don't think people are going to be carrying cash around too much. I don't think people carry a lot of cash around these days anyway.
I had a guy tip me on the Cash App. He said, you got Cash App? I don't have any cash. I said, yeah, I got Cash App. He said, right there.
It's so funny that's where we are. In the I don't need cash. You got Cash App?
Yeah, he sent me $7 in the Cash App. So I said, hey.
Well, I had oddly, I had a bunch of things down for tonight, but I Prop 22 took the whole thing up. I couldn't. How could I resist though? Because it's what Robert does. He's the guest this week, and honestly, in California, this is what John. I mean, we all know John McCallion too.
Yeah. Where is he? He should be in the chat.
He's probably hiding because he's getting his Prop 22 money.
We got it on Tuesday night, 5 p.m.
You know, that's why when I asked Joe about this beforehand, like, he was the one difference of a lot of the voices I hear from the delivery people. They all seem to love Prop 22. From Joe's perspective, it was almost like, oh yeah, Prop 22. I forgot that's there, but that's a good safety net for me if I need it, kind of thing. I felt like, okay.
So I would like to talk to him about it, see why he's not getting it compared to
because
Robert,
he's making more.
Well, no, but I mean, surely what's the per mile amount out there? I mean, is he really doing that many miles in an hour?
If he's working in this state,
in San Francisco,
there's no way around it. There's no way around it. As long as many hours you put in, the equation is it cannot happen. You're gonna get Prop 22 no matter what. The math does not work. You're gonna fail on hitting your goal.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Why is Joe not getting it?
He's getting it. There's no way. He might just mean that he makes so much he doesn't realize it's there. You know what I mean?
Because I mean that's a lot of miles.
Well, he would realize it's there.
Yeah, he should. Anyways.
He would be like, "Yo, extra money."
Because everyone gets it. There's no one like, well, you will run into someone that says, "Oh, is that what that money was they gave me?" You know, they'll say something like that. They just sign up to drive.
Right, but it's not like anything. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to fill out any forms. You don't have to click a box or do anything or
get signed on to the app and hit accept, and then however you do your payouts, your instant pay or however it's going in, that's how it's going in. Just like that. Just like that. You don't have to do anything. You just wake up, wait till after 3 p.m. About time 5 o'clock hits, 5:05, you just refresh your app and it's sitting right there in your face.
Here's you got one of your California people right
here. Steve, I told you they don't know about it. I told you, see, Mimi, I'm telling you, if you are driving,
is it listed as Prop 22 on your payout or is it listed as bonus pay? What's it listed as?
I'll go ahead and show you right now.
Because maybe that's why a lot of people don't know about it. Maybe
it's right there in your face. No, it's right there. It is right there in your face. They don't hide.
A lot of people just don't understand it. Like I got a lot more out of it today just by talking about it. I just feel like it's not something that, because a lot of people don't live in California, that we really talk about and know about. So maybe even people in California don't even really know the ins and outs and workings behind what it is. They're like, what I'm getting what money, and they're surprised to see like the money that they are getting.
Yeah, so like here on the Uber app, you just go to how you can do your weekly you see your weekly earnings, and it just pops up. Where is it?
It's gonna be
It just pops up there. It says Prop 22. You see how it says in green? Prop 22 earnings $397.20. It's right there. And then when you get your gas, you know, it shows your gas under other, but it's right there. It shows it right there. They just, when they see it there, they don't understand what Prop 22 is. These are like the people that whenever a new policy goes into your workplace and you have to sign it, they just sign it without reading it. That's exactly what it is. It's the exact same thing, and they don't realize what it is.
Is it right there when you open the app, or are you going into like
earnings tab?
Right when you go onto your Uber app, and then you can see.
But it's something every active Uber Eats driver should be seeing. They should see it when they log in.
Yes, exactly, because it'll have your online time, and they don't have active time, and then right under. Let's say you look at the weekly summary, you want to look at Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, it'll show you there. It'll show you on Tuesday, you'll see like, bam, the spike, and it shows Prop 22, and it explains exactly how you got paid. People just don't pay attention to the app. That's it.
Does it cut it off at 40 hours?
No. Oh my Steve, you don't.
No, I mean,
you don't want to know. Steve, look, $1,900 check, right? $1,900 check is what I got in December, right? Prop 22 check. I did 52 hours that week of active time. 52 hours. I got paid $1,900.
So next they're going to be complaining they don't get time and a half.
Jesus,
crazy. And you know what? In Washington State, the drivers get sick. They get sick pay. I have no idea how you get sick pay on being a driver.
Well, I think they're still figuring that part out. I can't believe that just the Prop 22 money alone. It's almost scary to me because I feel like this can't be real. This can't maintain something.
We have zombies out here, Steve. Like we have real driver zombies out here. The drivers that figured out, like, it doesn't matter how long I work, they get shut off by, the maximum hours you can drive in a day. Like, they drive the full limit and then get bumped off to do the 6 hours of rest time. You get drivers here that do the full 12, and it's a lot of rideshare drivers that are doing the full 12 every single day. So they're making a whole lot of money. We have people here that came out of college, they have their degree in whatever they want to do, and they figured out that they can work and still pay off their student loans while driving and not do the job and what they went to school for.
So if you go up to if you drive to San Francisco, do you get paid the 22?
Yes, if I go to San Francisco and I work in that territory, I'm going to get paid what they're getting paid there.
Wow.
Yep.
So it has nothing to do with the address of your house either, or where
nope. It just goes off of, once they see how Uber Eats is, once you cross that territory, you're in that territory now. So even though that you're home, like I'm in the Palm Springs territory, okay? But it doesn't matter. If I move territories, if I drive in to, let's say, to where it's higher, I'm gonna get whatever the city's minimum wage is. It's the pickup spot for the restaurant in the city itself. So is minimum wage per city, whatever the city's minimum wage is. If there's a city where the minimum wage is $14, you're getting paid $14 for that hour. If it's, that's how it works.
Oh,
I would be crushing it if I lived in California.
I'm thinking the same thing. I'm like, man.
Well, see, here's the thing. You'd be crushing it if you lived in, say, LA or San Diego or something, but you're also going to pay a higher tax bracket.
Exactly. Like,
but I'd be
crushing
it, man.
Higher taxes.
I would be crushing it.
Also, there's like 500,000.
But I'm assuming you would also have to take into consideration for the higher cost of living in California, because your gas is up to almost,
it depends on where you are in
$5 right
California.
now?
Well, it depends on where you are here, because we have like okay, see, and this sounds so, I hate speaking about rent in California to people in other states, because it seems like,
but Hannibal's in New York
when we
City,
say it's not that much, it's not that much. It's only $1,200 or something. It's not that much. In other states, people are like, what? You pay that much? I only pay like $400 or something, but
that's about equivalent. I mean, New Jersey, where it can be. I would say on the low end, it's $1,200. It can go,
exactly.
On a norm, it's probably like $1,600 to $1,800 on the high. God, it can go. I can't even tell you how high, but like that's.
You understand?
Depends on where you're at.
Yeah, and believe it or not, here, the worst areas here pay the most. The worst areas here pay the most. It's crazy. Like the places in the hood, when you go to the hood and you deliver in the hood, you make more money. It's faster, it's busier, and it's more dangerous. There's always surges and bonuses, but it's like when I'm in Newport Beach or Laguna, you make some good money, but it's a lot of, you have to drive into a lot of gated communities, and then their homes are farther deep inside those places. So it's busy, but it's slower because it takes a long time for you to get to these places. When you work in like the inner city, it's just bam, 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 and you knock them out.
Well,
knock them out.
I think what we're getting at with that though is, what's your gas prices there?
Okay, so right now where I am, it's $5.79 for the premium.
Christ.
Wow.
$5.39 for premium. $5.39 for unleaded. You know what I mean? All our gas stations are like
and you say you bring in about $1,000 a week.
Yeah, easy.
Okay, so I bring in about $1,000 a week doing gig work as well. My gas here is $3.10, I think. $3.20.
What the hell? I need to move where Gary's at.
I need to move you to where Gary's at too.
And I guarantee you, my cost of living is half of what you guys' are. So,
but Oklahoma isn't New York City, man.
Well, even in Florida, it's my gas down there is only, whenever I left, it was $3.94.
Yeah,
Hannibal, your gas.
What, me?
Yeah, you.
I think it's at 409. It's kind of leveled off. Like it was getting kind of crazy a little bit, and then.
So we're the same.
Yeah,
I
it kind of
thought
just
that you
leveled
were
off a
the
little bit.
city, it would actually be a little bit more, but we're probably about the same.
Yeah. I was kind of happy that it didn't. Like, I remember, what was it, a couple weeks ago, like it was jumping like 20 cents every couple of days. It was getting kind of scary, but it kind of leveled off a little bit right now.
And I just saw this comment too. So, no. So obviously,
I answered him in the chat.
Oh, okay. Because I mean, basically that's based on active time. We had discussed that you just can't you just can't turn it on.
The one thing I remember John McCallion was saying about Prop 22 was the I guess the con is saturation, which is always the problem. But he said in his area, everyone is doing it, so you're not even getting orders to get the active time to even get the there's just too much going on. But it's about market. I'm assuming, Rob, your market where you can still thrive. I mean, and also I think John was doing more DoorDash and Grubhub, so that may be an issue there. But it's all about your market, regardless of where you are in California.
If you just take those cheapest orders, you're still going to get the Prop 22 money. I mean,
well, it's not about taking the cheapest order, Steve, and still getting that Prop 22 money. You still have to. You're still, whoever is like, well, I'm just going to take the cheapest orders, and then then that's exactly what they're looking for. They're looking for you just to take all the cheap orders and then say, well, I'm going to get paid this at the end. That's not what you want to do. You still want to have your guidelines and your base, you know what I mean? But it's just a little bit different for me because I use a different app to where I'm not forced into those really low ball orders to where I have to really just turn those things down. If I was working for DoorDash, trust me, I would probably be king reject, but give great service once I get one. But I would be king reject, you know what I mean? But I'm not on that platform, on that operation where that happens to me. And that's why I have to step away from that. I would go crazy hearing 280, 275 and things. And oh my goodness, that's not good at all.
This is a good question. So for people like on the road who might, let's say me, I live in Colorado, but I'm out visiting family members for a month in California, and I decide to work some of the food platforms, or Kim goes out to California to visit a friend for a month. I know she can't, she has a kid and all this, but let's pretend she could. Okay. And she's out there visiting a friend and she works the gig platforms. Does she get Prop 22 money?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
You have to be a resident.
You would have to, in order for you to get that, you would have to contact Uber while you were in the state and then let them know that I'm driving here. They'll figure out where you're going to be. They'll activate you for wherever you are, and then you'll get.
Well, you can turn on anywhere in the country with Uber Eats.
No, you cannot.
No,
you have to contact the customer support, and then
it depends on the state laws. It depends on state laws. That's what I was going to say is, whenever I go between Florida and Oklahoma, Florida I can turn on. I don't have to tell Uber nothing. But whenever I come back to Oklahoma, I have to let them know if I switch for, like, if I want to do rideshare in Florida, I have to tell them, hey, I'm going to Florida. But if I want to do Uber Eats down there, I can just turn it on anytime. So if I actually switch my market, whenever I come back to Oklahoma, I have to have them switch my Uber Eats back as well. And I would assume that all the gig platforms in California probably do that for this law.
Well, I know I've been looking at some of this. A lot of people's minds are blown by this Prop 22 thing. So I know this wasn't supposed to be the only thing talked about tonight, but obviously this stirred a lot of buttons here because people are like, wait, I want the Prop 22 money. I want the Prop 22 money.
Well, everybody wants it in their own areas, though. That's the thing. We all want it in our own areas because, like, give it to me here to where I don't have the extra high cost of living and high gas prices. I would love it. I'm not moving to California to get it.
Right.
Yeah.
It's fascinating. It's fascinating though that you're talking about it and your strategy, how you use the strategy of Prop 22 in the gig work rather than you're not just, well, I'm outside getting orders. Like there's a strategy involved. So I find the talk very fascinating. It's just interesting that the Prop 22 was sponsored by DoorDash and Uber. Right.
That's what blows my mind too.
It was like this is probably the best deal they could have made because AB5 would have made them all leave, right? Like that's what they're saying. Like if they would continue with AB5, they were all going to leave one of the biggest economies in the world, not just the country, the world. And they were like, all
and
right,
it was a very real
that.
threat too. This wasn't just I mean, they were ready. They were ready to make.
I think this is probably the best deal they could have came up with for now.
Yeah.
And then maybe they could try to do something later on. I don't know.
What really happened was the pandemic. The pandemic really put the whole thing. At first, it was like, okay, because when we were fighting for it, it was pre-pandemic. So it was like, okay, we see how it's going to help. It's not going to be this big old giant thing that we have going on. But once the pandemic hit, let me tell you, we did this whole food thing blow up, and then they didn't realize all of this money that was going to have to be shelled out, and they had no counter for that. If the pandemic would have never happened, everything would seem like it was normal. Now the other states are like, well, we got to do this too for our people and this and that, and so.
But it kind of gets me thinking though, and this is like somewhat to what Gary was saying. So the customer is somewhat paying for Prop 22. So why can't, and this is thinking completely wacky and outside the box, why can't they do something similar in a smaller version across all the states and pay the drivers just that little bit more instead of taking the money away? And it would solve a lot of the issues that drivers go through every single day.
I think that's where we're about to see a lot of. Massachusetts is on board. Your state's on board. That's Kim. When I said Kim Cavan, she's in New Jersey, and she's one of the biggest fighters for independent contractorship. I think this is coming down the pipe there in Washington State. There's a lot of places that are looking at this California model, and not necessarily the AB5 portion, but just the Prop 22 portion, and saying, listen, we should do this.
Even if it's on the smallest of scales, like even if it's not as big and it's not against, the cost of living of California, even if it's a smaller scale, always live on something is better than what we have right now. So I think even if it's on just like a little bit of a smaller scale, I think it would be like, wow. And I think it would make a lot of people happy.
Yeah.
Hey, check this comment out right here. I mentioned something earlier about how there's people going to college and then they get out and they're not going to school. They're not working in the field that they went for. Check out this comment here. Yeah. She says, I have a bachelor's degree and work most of my adult life in my family's retail business at the corporate level. We have 24 stores and I'm making more now than then. Okay. So, I'm telling you, Steve, it is wild out here. And what they did was we have these things called the homeless, they live under the underpasses and then the riverbeds and things like that. And people were having jobs living in their cars and in places, and people could not afford rent and everything. Most people were driving. So that's how this whole thing came about, to help with bills and everything else. Well, yeah, it did help with bills. Now it's helping with a whole lot more. People they've got themselves out of those holes and they're actually living way better than what they were.
I don't know if they still exist, but there was a thing that was, I think it was in Oakland, maybe it was elsewhere too, but where there was like these little pods that you could have like 8-hour sleep shifts in. Like you didn't have an apartment, you were just getting a bed basically, but like your own little space too. Like it was like a hotel room for a very brief period for like rideshare drivers. If you were working your butt off, you could go like rent a bed that had a very small space, but you could separate yourself, shut the door, get some sleep, and then go back out on the road. And you could pay like just for the 8 hours of this bed. It was really, it was almost like another app. It's just a whole different weird society. But I mean, like we face high rent, we face homelessness here in Denver, just like everywhere else does. And it's very high here in Denver.
Let me ask you just a real quick question, because of how good Prop 22 is. Are a lot of companies around your area having even a harder time finding people to hire just because why would you go work a W-2 if Prop 22 is so
Exactly.
lucrative and so good? So are companies having a really hard time finding employees at this point?
That's what the problem that we have here is, because a lot of these places, people were working at the fast food places, right? And let's say when the pandemic hit, they start laying a lot of people off. So when the people start getting laid off, they will file for their unemployment. They're getting that, and then instead of going to get a regular job with W-2, they go and drive the gig work because you can't track that. So you get your unemployment money. Now they're doing the gig, right? Then they saw how much money they're making at the gig work. When unemployment stopped, they don't go back to the job because they're making more doing the gig work. And now a lot of these places are struggling because they should never have let the people go. Only like In-N-Out, Chick-fil-A, places like that kept their staff, and they have no issues. The other places, McDonald's and Burger King, Jack in the Box, Taco Bell, KFC, all these places in that realm, they let go a lot of people. So when you go, the wait times, let's say for Grubhub and DoorDash, you're going to be in there for a long time because they don't have employees.
But I think that's a shortage everywhere, though. I don't think that's just California, because I mean, like Florida, McDonald's out there is paying $16 to $18 an hour and giving away free bus passes,
and starting to let 14-year-olds work.
Yeah, and they still can't find employees. So I think it's a shortage everywhere. I'm sure Prop 22 probably helps with that as well, but I mean, it's a shortage everywhere as far as workers.
It just is mind blowing to me, this Prop 22 thing, because it seems like Hannibal said, like this is what they accepted as, okay, we can this is what we can tolerate to do. That means you could tolerate to do that everywhere. So, but you're just not gonna.
No, you want to stay in the market because it's just California. You want to stay in there. So I think that was like the best deal they could have came up with. Can it be done everywhere? Are they really hemorrhaging over there? And they're like, well, we can handle this because we need to be there, but can it go everywhere? That's the question.
Right. Would people in New Hampshire take a $2 extra per order fee for a Prop 22?
No,
I guess that starts to become the question. Like in some places, would they go, what's this line item?
And also, there's the issues with the restaurants. The restaurants and the cap fees.
Yeah.
What's that, Kim?
Can they do it on a smaller scale based off of the cost of living? So it might be $2 in California, but I'm making this up, in New Hampshire, is it
$1,
75
right?
cents? Is it $1? Is it a smaller scale version of the California opposed to the $2? Is it 50 cents? Is it 75 cents? Depending on the cost of living in the state that you live in.
It just all of a sudden feels like we just all of a sudden shifted to an employee model.
It's going to happen.
Even during this conversation. Like we're now talking about an employee model.
Yeah, you're guaranteeing an hourly minimum. I mean, that's what you're doing.
Yep. I mean, it's an employee model that has flex time somehow still, which probably will be manipulated over time, but
well, I've never understood the guarantee hourly, and I get that drivers want that, and everybody wants a secure net, but most of us sign up so that way we can do it how we want to do it. We don't want to have to rely on the government to tell us what to do, or like Robert said, the next step for them is most likely going to be unions, because that's what they're all pushing towards. So it's great to have that safety net, but you got to look like long term down the road. How's this going to affect long term? If you're in it for short term, who cares? Safety net, give me the money, give me the hourly. But if you're going to be doing it like me, I'm probably never going to go back to a W-2 unless I just forced to. There's just no way you can say, hey, Gary, go sit in an office, do something. No, I've been free for too many years. And so like 10 years from now, if this was in my state, I'd be worried about, 5-10 years from now. Well, what's it going to be like then? It's cool right now, but what's long-term plans for this? Especially if the gig companies back it, there's something screwed up about it.
Teamsters and some other places in the country that they're setting up, deals. Like what's going on here? There got to be some kind of end game that doesn't put us in a good spot. It puts us probably in a disadvantage.
Well, and that's another thing. There you go. So that's a whole nother can of worms, is that this is that best deal they could come up with to also keep the unions out, though. Like, this is what we'll pay you, which is way overpaid, and we'll keep the unions out. And it's like, okay, what? I don't, my head would blow up if I really, every time I think about Prop 22 and AB5, my head starts going like a million directions, and it starts blowing up about how does this work? How does this maintain? Because I don't get it.
And that's why I stopped doing all that, Steve. I just say, like Jerry Maguire, show me the money.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, with the gig workers, that's kind of what it is. Are we getting paid? Show us the money, and is it getting in my bank account? If it is, I'll keep doing it. But it's crazy that out there, it does feel like we just had a whole discussion here tonight about being an employee for all these apps that we talk about not being an employee for.
Yeah.
But I'm not an employee.
I mean,
Robert's an employee. I'm not an employee.
Robert's not either.
He's got the IC playing the game right.
I know.
But it feels like it should be an employee.
Yeah,
on some level,
I'm just playing the game right. I know what position I'm playing, man.
And I do think it's weird that like how Robert does it is one thing. He's doing just Uber Eats. I do think it's weird that you can be playing the angles of all these apps. Like, hey, I'm going to work Grubhub, Uber Eats, DoorDash, and collect Prop 22 from all of them. And that seems weird to me that there is no monitoring of that.
If someone really wanted to fully take advantage of like 3 apps, you got 7 days in a week. One day this app, one day that app. You can do it like that to make sure, one app you'll do maybe 2 times in a week, and try do 8 hours on the app. You can. That's
or
too much
if you get to a restaurant and it's a half hour backed up, and you see another on another app that you can go do a 20-minute order and still get back, you're still active time on the one. You can go run another job real quick.
You don't even have to do it day by day. You can do it same
hour
time.
by hour.
Yeah, I mean, you can literally have 3 active orders from all the gig apps at the same exact time for the whole hour, and then they're all paying you $16 an hour.
Or
you would have thought
22 in San Francisco. So if you're working all 3, you're making $66 an hour plus tips.
Yeah, if you accept one from each gig platform at the start of every hour, you now make $66.
Well, and you know what? That's why when I'm on my videos, when I'm doing my stuff, I only count my active hours. If I was including my Prop 22 hours, my titles would say every single day, $65 an hour, $58 an hour. Why, no, I only count my active hours because, I come from the era before Prop 22. I just, it's too much, it's too much. It's too much. I just count the active hours, and that's how I break down what my hourly is. I don't even include Prop 22 because it's unfair. If someone's in a place where it's just terrible.
You mean all of us that are
everybody just saying these numbers.
I appreciate that, Robert, because when you go into a Reddit or a Facebook or whatever, you'll see a post of a really nice fat check. Like, damn, man, and then you'll see that at least a DoorDash pay adjustment. I'm like, oh, I know where you live.
Yeah. And there's a lot of people out there doing that. I try to keep it as real as I can. We get this extra. I typically try to show checks without the Prop 22 because people don't have that. It's a touchy subject, man. And yeah, and we get caught spoiled and all these things out here in California. But let me tell you, there was no spoiledness when we were fighting for it, man. It was crazy. But I'm kind of mad we actually have to go fight for it. And I'm kind of, because it's weird. We thought it was good, but it's like we're torn on the inside with each other now. So who knew it was going to work out this way?
Well, on that, I'm going to say that I had like 6 things down. We covered 1 and we ran way over. I appreciate everybody sticking around. It looked like a lot of people were actually getting heated about this. So I'm glad that people got the notice of what this really is, though, because people should be aware of we've all talked about it. I've talked about it with many people, but I'm glad that people heard this Prop 22 thing. Because I think that it's important to hear this, what's going on out there, because things like this are going to come around the country. And like Kim said, it might be on a different scale, but it's still going to come. It's most likely going to come to your area, something like this. It might not pass or whatever, but you're going to see something about it. Yeah. You're going to see propositions. They might fail, they might not, but you're going to see propositions come around that are going to try and do this kind of thing for gig workers. And it's going to be interesting because in each different state, I think there's going to be trade-offs. I think there's going to be a lot of negatives to go with these positives.
Yeah,
so,
but I got a question. This has nothing to do with this Prop 22. It's open to the field right here to you guys on this panel. What's new? What do you guys got going on coming up? I know you guys, everyone here hustles. What you guys got going on in the future?
Hannibal.
I'm sorry. What was that?
What you got going on in the future?
Oh, me?
I chose you because I know you're in the transformation period right now a bit, or locking down what you already do.
It's funny. UDM called me. He was like, "Hey man, I know you're not doing food delivery anymore. How you doing?" I was like, I it's been something that I've probably should have made a video about a long time ago, because it's been something that I've been doing for a long time. I just want to be transparent because I know there's certain content creators that still talk about it and read emails about it, but not doing it. And I just didn't want to be that kind of person. So, I think I'll do it once a week. I
kind of already knew that was going on with you.
Yeah. Like if I've been on a live stream with you guys, I talked about it. Right now, I do majority of my income is basically taking care of dogs. It's spring break, certain areas. It's summertime is coming up, and I'm just gonna be busy doing that. So talking about service, Robert, it's like you should have Robert service hot facts, something like that. Like I always hear you use that word service, but I also relationships, another word that you notice that you use. I enjoy being an independent contractor with people and clients that I see every day, or not every day, but I get to communicate with them often. There's a relationship there. There's a trust there. So even if I make a mistake, or if they make a mistake, they don't one-star me because they don't know me. They know me. So that's why I like the dumpling idea, which I totally forgot to do, where if you're able to find some people, we're able to find a couple of clients to do personal shopping. So even if you made a mistake and bought the wrong kind of eggs or the wrong kind of cheese, they're not going to flip out on you. Like, because you establish a relationship, you care about doing the job, you take pride in the work. So that's probably one of the reasons why I decided not to do it as often as I used to do it. But it was I'm grateful for the apps. I'm grateful for what I needed them. I needed them 2 years ago. I didn't have a job. I have a son. He's 8 years old. I have a wife. I need to put in some income. It came in at the right time. Uber Eats came in at the right time, and making videos, like all this came from gig work. So I understand that. And, anyone who says, hey, should I do it? I always say, yeah, go try the apps out. See if it works out for you. So that was my perspective. I just want to be transparent with everyone. It's like, hey, yeah, I'm not full-time with, particularly with these apps, but
they're all still available to you too.
Exactly. Like I still have all of them. I still have Shipped. I still have Instacart. I have Grubhub. I have Curry. I have Launder. I still have that laundry app. I didn't take any dirty drawers yet, but I have so many apps. And I still have
many more. You will be Jamaican.
But that's the idea. You want to have them there in case things go wrong. Maybe the clients may move away. Like so many different things can happen. So it's good to have them.
Yeah. For me, I'm hoping that I get to deliver paint all summer. So.
Paint.
I don't care what's in the paint as long as that keeps.
Well, hopefully, no one's behind you. Whoop whoop! Like just stop it. We have some reasons to expect that some cans of paint is something different.
That's what Gary said to me the other day. He's like, "What are in all those curry packages you're taking?" I'm like, I don't know, man. But I go to a warehouse and they actually give me a bill of lading. It's actually a legit format, and they're handing it to me, and here it is. It's all like wrapped up, so I didn't have anything to do with it.
No. Oh, so. Vince Andy, it's not a cuddling app. It's just a website. You just sign up on it. But if you want to know more information about it, me and Pedro talked about it for an hour. I don't know what happened last night. It was all over the place. But yes, you can make $80 an hour cuddling people. And I know people don't, think it's funny, but it's a real job, right? Or not a job, but it's independent contracting. It's a gig work. We should talk about that. Hopefully, Steve, you should invite like 4 cuddlers into a round table and talk about it. Hopefully I'll be one of them.
I was going to say, you're going to be one. If I forget which video it is, but make sure you go find the video that Hannibal said if he gets, 300?
I may do it anyway, just to see how, because like Pedro's been pushing me, and Dashing Grandpa, he dropped a comment earlier. He's like, I could be a good grandpa cuddler. I'm like, you do it.
Do you have like a GoPro on your chest and go cuddle just to do a video?
Kim, I'm not going to invade the privacy of my client. We're going to hug and cuddle and the idea is 2 hours. Who wants to hug each other for 2 hours? I don't know, but $8 an hour.
All the Dashing Grandpa has to do is go sit in the mall and put on one of those Santa hats, and he's in the game. When it's cuddling, he'll get all the kids to cuddle with him.
But that's the thing, like, it's so many, being creative of finding ways to make money is so many interesting, consider odd ways of making money. So
yeah, your voice right there, Hannibal, is the reason why I watch your videos, man. When I'm watching your videos, I like to watch like Dog 101 and things like that. You know how they show it, and you're just narrating on through. I can just sit, and it's like I'm on an escalator. I'm just listening to Hannibal do his thing, man. I like how you got the videos like that. See, but no one else does it like that though.
Because he was the pioneer of walk-alongs.
No one else does it like that. I like that.
Yeah. I'll do more eventually.
Because nobody else does that, man. Everybody does drive-alongs, but Hannibal does walk-alongs.
I'm gonna walk.
I'm gonna let you guys know what I got going on. I got this little. I'm doing a little spin-off to my live that I have. So it's called the Hot Cab. I'm doing a spin-off of the Cash Cab. It's called the Hot Cab. I'm going to be the passenger, the driver of Uber or Lyft. It's not going to know that they're going to be being interviewed by me. I'm going to get real questions in and see what the drivers really think, get them to participate. Once they figure out they're on the Hot Cab, I'm going to give them a $20 tip. It's going to be a round trip just to get some info from the drivers, show a different side, because the drivers are left out with this gig thing. It's all about food and everything else. The drivers, you only hear about them when they're getting attacked or someone trying to scam them out. I want to show a little bit of love with the driver's side, show that they have a little personality, a little bit of love too. So I'm going to do the Hot Cab, the exact reverse of the Cash Cab. I'm going to do that a few times a month.
That'll be interesting. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see it evolve, because I know you and I were talking before we even started, before anybody was in here, and I was thinking, how is he going to make this? Is it going to be like a hidden camera on a chest GoPro with like 2 buttons undone?
Don't worry about all that.
And then halfway through, you're like, hey man, you're.
It is going to happen. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. I'm just trying to bring a little something a little bit different to the gig economy, and just trying to give a little bit more unity in the community. And you know what I mean? That's about it. So I thought doing something like that would change the landscape a little bit. That's about it.
That's what we're all supposed to be doing, right? Is doing different creative processes and shaking it up and trying to show different aspects of all this. So
I wish I had a studio like Hannibal, man. I wish I lived in New York somewhere where you got places like that. It looks like I'm supposed to be down there with the RZA and Raekwon right now, getting busy in the booth.
Listen, Robert, I don't know how long you've been on YouTube, but you've been growing super fast, man. And I've been love your videos. I like listening to you. You're positive. The energy. You're gonna get there, man. And you're bringing in a different philosophy. And I think you should definitely make more videos about Prop 22, because it looks like that's why so many people been watching, and I've been fascinated. I'm sure the rest of the panel has been. Make more videos about it, because even people in California don't understand it.
Right.
I think we got people in California in the room today that don't understand it.
Yeah, and I appreciate Steve, because he been banging his drum for months, talking about it, showing articles, and I'm like thinking I understand why he's doing it, because it's going to eventually come to all of our areas. So, definitely appreciate Steve for putting everyone on notice on it. It's very important information.
Well, I appreciate that. I've been on this channel, January 25th was my first video up on this on Hot Facts. So 300 and what 70 like 70 subscribers in like under 90 days.
That's pretty good, man.
Awesome.
So
Yeah.
that,
You drop a lot of videos.
So that's
You work harder than Pedro. I told Pedro yesterday. I'm like, yo, this guy working harder than you, man. He's like, I know.
I mean, seriously, I wake up
and
and I don't even. If I see like Robert's in my feed, but he's in my feed like 11 times when I look in the day. It's like he dropped 3 shorts, 2 20-minute video. Like Hannibal, you say I'm on too much. He's on all the. He's 24/7.
Yeah, man. My first channel I actually have. I'm a personal trainer. You know, I have a degree in kinesiology and in sports medicine. So my other channel that I have, it was just for my clients. You know, I have them, me and my wife do all the drills, things like that. So I have them watching, and I'll film them do things. So it was just something that they can use to go back over, to get refreshed, so that they can do things when they're not training. So I really didn't use that channel as, you know, like anything huge. There are a few videos there that got like 8,000 views on them or something like that, but I had no aspiration to do anything with that channel. That was just something to have as a tool for my clients, so they don't have to go read magazines and they don't know what it is. They can actually see. But you know, this channel right here, this is my not channel, this job. This is the whole job. The marketing, the advertising, the media, the merch, doing the fulfillments, doing everything. I do everything by myself. So I gotta have full attention to this. So, you know, this is like, I've never done this before. My other big businesses, you know, this is a whole, I have to like really pay attention to people's comments, and I got to make sure I'm reading them back and acknowledge, like, it's a whole different realm doing this thing. I'm still learning. That's why I'm tapping in with all you guys. I got to learn something every day in order for me to be successful. You know what I mean? But I'm getting it. There's a lot of things I still got to learn, you know, but I'm getting it. There's some tricks you guys got that I'm trying to figure out what's in that juice you guys didn't drink.
Which, by the way, while we're wrapping this up, first of all, thank you everybody for sticking with us tonight. And if you haven't checked out Robert's channel, it's in the show notes, and I'll make sure that, you know, it's already in there now, but when I even finish out the notes, I'll leave it up at the top. Check out his channel, because and if you're in California, you should absolutely be checking out his channel. But even those of us just in the gig world, check out his channel, because he's doing lives. He's talking about all kinds of things. But if you do have any questions about this Prop 22 stuff, he is somebody that optimizes it to the T. So, you know, don't ever, I won't speak out of line, but I know I'm okay to say this, that, you know, he will never dodge a question. You know, if you got a question for Robert, just throw it at him. He'll address it. And I appreciate that. I think that's a great trait. So I want to thank everybody for being here tonight. And I think this ended up being a great conversation, even though there were other things on the plate. I was glad to talk about this, because I think this was a big deal.
Yeah, definitely.
I think that a lot of people learned a lot, and I think there's people in California who are going, wait, what? So if you do, yeah, like, here you go. So there you go. You just got a sub, and it's a California sub who probably is going to have some questions for you now.
Yeah. I have them on, man. And I know there's even drivers, when I'm out in places, I look intimidating sometimes. You know, I'm 6'4", 220, and my face is just like I have my dad's face. It's not the prettiest, most happiest face at times, but you know, people, I am friendly. I will answer all your questions. If you see me at Chipotle or something, just say, hey, you know, I will smile. But if I don't, you know, don't let the mean face fool you now. I am
just watch the intro of any of his videos, and you'll see everybody's in a good mood, because he's got
people to say you're 6'4". Like,
yeah.
Hey, respond to this. You know, repeat this title. You're like, all right.
No, it's hilarious when I go to homes, and you know, they see me walk up. If it's a shorter, like, older lady, and she comes up to like my waist, she looks up at me. I'm like, oh. You know, there's benefits. I use every single benefit that I have when it comes to delivering to someone's home. You know what I mean? I use everything. I use everything I have in the arsenal.
6'4" going. you're gonna tip, right? I mean, try that at 5'5". See how that works.
Try that at 5'2". Hi.
Yeah, I didn't know how tall you were, Kim, but that's what I was going for.
But all you got to do is watch his intros,
Short
though.
people.
Like he's got the community, like all like, I mean, he's got teams of people, and some of them like shouting, "Hey, it's Hot Facts with Robert Reese." He's got 20 people, and then he's got 10
Yeah,
people.
my favorite one is the Mormon boys. There was 17 Mormon boys all on their mission. So I got them to do the Hot Facts with Robert Reese. I have 27 separate videos of Hot Facts. So what I do is I just keep rotating them, and I keep adding them in, because what's going to happen is when I do my work, the businesses that I'm doing the work with now, like built relationships with, I'm going to have videos of just nothing but the businesses doing that. So when I actually go in to do business to business relations so I can advertise for local small businesses, get them on here, do work like that. So more small businesses will say, look at all these businesses doing it. And then, so that's why I have it. It's a whole marketing plan. The more of those I have, the better. It looks better when you go to the bank too.
All right, guys. Thank you everybody for joining us. Thank you, Gary, Kim, Hannibal, Robert, and all of chat. And thanks for sticking with us, you guys. I love doing Thursday nights, so we will see you back here next week.
Well, hey, Steve, hopefully I can do a one-on-one with some of the people on here on their channel one of these days. Hannibal, Kim, one of these days, want to sit down and do one of those.
I would be surprised if you don't do it with all of them. So
you will. I'll hit you up. You got you.
Yeah. So, but yeah, also check out Robert's channel too. Again, it's in the link. It's in the show notes right now, guys. So before you forget, check it out. Those guys in California. And if you've ever thought about moving to California and you're a gig worker, there's never been a better time. Although I doubt many people that don't live in California are dying to move there right now. But that said, I don't know. Have a great evening, you guys, and we'll see you back here next week. Sorry we ran over, but I'm not that sorry. So